Radio is basically the most fantastically amazing, awesome thing in the universe, and I'm going to talk about why in a very disjointed sort of way, and also notice a new angle. Yay! Because the camera, I had to sort of balance the camera precariously on the top of my computer there, and it always sort of wobbled, but now it's on the speaker, and all I have to do is make sure that I don't stare at like the actual image of me on the screen, because then I'd look like this to you, and that'd be quite disturbing if I'm actually talking. But radio, yes, I've loved radio for like ages. I think because since the first time I watched this episode of Quantum Leap, which is a kind of cool, geeky show about this guy that time travels and can't get back home, leaps through time, setting right what once went wrong. And anyway, he has to sort of be a radio presenter in one episode, and the episode is based, well, his patter is based on the movie Good Morning Vietnam, but I watched it before I watched Good Morning Vietnam. Also an amazing movie, oh my gosh, it's like fantastic story, it's everything I love in a story. I mean, in that it's like absolutely hilarious and also absolutely heartbreaking in some parts as well, and it's just a really important story, and I think everyone should watch Good Morning Vietnam if only to laugh themselves silly. But yes, I've forgotten what the episode of Quantum Leap was called. I think Good Morning Peoria or something like that, but I just watched it and it was just fantastic because just, you know, radio stations in like the 60s mainly, I think that's what I love mostly about it. Like pirate radio, like this movie. So good. Seriously. I mean, it hasn't got a plot as such, but the characters are all fun and there's so much good in pirate radio. It's just like amazing, like the 60s when rock was, you know, happening and everyone was like, go, rock is bad, stop with the rocking. But then the radio stations, some of them were like, no, you know what, this is cool, this is good, let's play this, people want to hear this, we want to play what people want to hear. I think the clock's about to, stupid clock, you're not as cool as radio, not as cool, no. Yes, and rock, and they played it, and just so cool. I just love the defiance of that. Pirate radio stations particularly, like, you know, out on some boat, like in this for example. And would you believe I only got the pun in the title, The Boat That Rocked, like 2 days ago? Seriously. Rubbish at puns, which is ridiculous, because I love puns to pieces almost as much as I love radio, but not quite as much as I love radio, because radio is amazing. And just, radio stations just like on some ship out in the ocean, being a DJ, and I like shows about radio a lot because they're often mixed in with, like, in Good Morning Vietnam and in this, and in the episode of Quantum Leap, it's like mixed in with the footage of people just listening to the radio and just laughing at the jokes and just dancing well or very badly and the music and just spending time with your friends listening to the radio. And I wish it was sort of more like that today because, oh, there was a bird. Cool, you get bonus birds now. And a window of opportunity. But yeah, and it was just so cool to listen to just see this thing that people were doing, just like sitting in a room full of technology, putting music on and occasionally talking, but just affecting so many people and just defiantly standing up for what they believed in. Pirate radio was the best thing ever, but it's still cool. Radio is still amazing and awesome and cool, and I first noticed that when I won a small pocket radio player thing. That's my automatic headphone symbol, I think. Weird. In the shape of the screw top of a beer bottle when I was an intermediate, and it was just a cool thing. It was just, you could carry music around with you. I hadn't heard of MP3 players at that point. Still don't have one, but I can listen to the radio on my phone now, which makes me happy because I can listen to the student radio station of the place I want to apply for, which I can't actually go because I have an interview for it to see if I can actually get in, which probably I can't because I'm rubbish at radio. But even if I can't do the voicing for the radio-y things, which probably I can't do, I can at least learn more about the industry so I can work on writing material. Like, I'd like to write radio plays because Hitchhiker's Guide for the Galaxy, for example, started off as a radio play, and of course there's stuff like The War of the Worlds and such, which influenced and affected so many people. People thought they're actually being invaded by aliens, and it's just a really good way to tell stories. And radio doesn't have the same effect as it did, of course, before all the other media, but now you can use the other media as well. You can probably cross over with the internet in all sorts of fascinating new ways, and I'd love to do that. And there's this thing called WITS, which Minnesota Public Radio does, which is where just, I think, as far as I can tell, I only found out about it today because Neil Gaiman was on it, is going to be on it with John Hodgman or something, and anyway, cool. Yeah, WITS, and they just sponsored by the Minnesota Public Radio, I think, and one of the Minnesota Public Radio announcers just, it's like a live show, and they just broadcast it from, like, the stage, just, you know, radio interviewing a performer or an artist of some sort. It varies depending on the show, and they just, in front of a live audience and on the radio, and just entertaining people. And it's just beautiful that radio can do that, and radio is amazing, and awesome, and amazing, and I can get it into my head quite easily, I think. I mean, I think I first really loved radio as an actual thing when I was like, we were staying at a holiday cottage, which are nice, and it had a radio set, and I'd never actually just listened to the radio for the fun of it now, because we don't really do that in my family, or we didn't until then. Now we do. Radio always on. Ha ha ha, if I have any say in it. But yes, and it was fun to just fiddle with the tuning and hear the music and pick and choose and just to have a nice little hum of background noise and sometimes songs that you really liked. And it's just a fantastic way to pass the time, and I think it gives like places a really friendly atmosphere. Not as cool as it was in the 60s, and not as cool as if we had pirate radio stations, though I would so love to have one. I mean, oh my gosh, so cool. If anyone ever like has to leave the country and hang out in like a channel straight in a boat or something, take me please. I can be your DJ. Well, I could help. I could make you coffee. I make rubbish coffee, but I would make rubbish coffee with love. Yeah, I've probably talked enough about radio now, but radio, amazing. Go listen to the radio, go think about pirate radio. I want to write a book which is awkward because I write fantasy and it's difficult to think of some way to fit pirate radio stations and all that defiance and like sort of countrywide warmth and feeling of belonging to a thing into a fantasy book. But I will figure out a way. Just you wait and see. And yeah, radio. I'm gonna go listen to the radio. This is gonna look weird because my eyes are gonna go, but wait, I'll try and turn it off without looking.